Koji pulls up 2 blocks away from the Sakasaka house, stares at the silent building. In the bright light of morning, the Sakasaka house seems like to be shrouded in dark mesoma, like a black hole torn out of a landscape. Is it just a figment of Koji's imagination? Probably not. Every window is closed, offering no glimpse of the inside. Koji has no way of knowing whether or not Fuminori is home. A pedestrian, probably a neighbor, walks his dog down the street, glancing back at Koji after he passes by the Accord. There's a lot of name dropping in this game for product placement. Koji isn't surprised that he'd draw attention, even though he's sitting inside his car. He hasn't bathed or changed clothes since spending the night in the mud at the bottom of the well. Excuse me. So he must look like some homeless drifter. When he looks in the rearview mirror, he sees the haggard face of a man with one foot in the grave staring back at him. It's hard to believe that the unshaven, tired face really belongs to him. If he stays here for too long, he might very well be reported to the police. He'd better pull himself together and get moving. After driving slowly up to the front of Fuminori's house, Koji quickly checks to make sure no one is around, then gets out of the car. You got a death wish, son. Anyone who might be in the house probably heard the sound of the car, but there's no point in worrying about that now. Koji walks swiftly through the gate and yard to the front door. He puts his hand on the doorknob, forgoing ringing the doorbell or knocking. The time for such pleasantries has passed. The door is unlocked, and the knob turns easily in his hand. He puts his ear against the door and listens for any sounds coming from inside the house. It's like I'm a thief, he thinks, feeling some shame. There doesn't seem to be anything moving inside. After checking the street again to make sure no one's looking, he quickly opens the door and disappears inside. A strange stink immediately assaults his nostrils. He's already prepared for anything, however, so rather than discourage him, the stench only sharpens his caution on a razor's edge. He's crossed this threshold many times in the past, and has countless vivid memories of time spent at this house. So why? Why does he feel the same ominous, blood-chilling aura that he did at Ogi's home and cabin? Anger and sorrow seize Koji's heart, as though the image of a dead friend has been defiled. Koji doesn't remove his shoes before entering. He knows why he's here, after all. Every rain shutter is closed, filling the house with gloom, and he can see nothing but pitch-black darkness through the open doors of the various rooms. I should have brought my flashlight from the car, he thinks ruefully, and then remembers that he dropped the light when he was attacked by Fuminori outside the well. It's still lying in the backyard in the cabin of Tochigi. The house might be empty. Then again, it might not be. Each particle of the air seems charged with silent menace, like knives against his throat. Is there an enemy in the dark? Is there an enemy lurking in the thick darkness that fills every room of the house? It's not hard to imagine Fuminori waiting for a chance to take him by surprise and finish what the well failed to do. Koji walks down the first floor hallway, then climbs the stairs to the second floor, and checks that hallway too. He moves slowly and carefully, keeping his senses sharp, but feels nothing sneaking up behind him or watching him from the shadows. After completing his round safely, he's convinced the house is empty. Going into this guy's house has worked out so well before for people. He suddenly realizes that his right hand is touching the cold steel of the gun in his pocket. Did he intend to draw the weapon upon encountering Fuminori? Yes. Now that Koji thinks about it, his own actions seem mysterious to him. What is he planning to do when he meets Fuminori? Will he lay into him with the curses and epithets? Will he force him into turning himself in? Or will he... Enough, Koji decides. This isn't the time for these thoughts. Why isn't it? If he keeps thinking about it, he'll stop moving. If he stops moving, the crushing fear will paralyze him forever. Right now, he has to forget about such hopeless questions and keep marching ahead. He has to close the distance to his prey. In any case, Fuminori isn't at home. What form their reunion takes will probably be decided at the moment of their meeting. All Koji has to do is not hesitate. Still, why does the whole house smell like stagnant water? It's been 3 months since Fuminori shut his friends out of his affairs. Just what kind of life has he been leading all this time? Koji enters the living room and feels along the wall for the light switch. The moment he flips it on, the answer to his question is revealed. He's become a horrible painter. How far has Fuminori gone? Koji realizes this is the first time he has encountered Fuminori's insanity in visible form. From the dust piled in the corners of the room, it is clear that the paint was not applied recently. How many nights has Fuminori spent surrounded by this maddening array of color? Why, if such obvious signs were available, why didn't Koji realize that something was wrong before it got this bad? Was he deaf to the dying screams of Fuminori's sanity as it crumbled away? Was their friendship really so worthless? As he stands petrified in the unfamiliar living room, Koji directs his anger entirely at his own powerlessness. If he could, he would like nothing more than to apologize to the old Fuminori for not helping him in his lonely battle against his suffering. Koji feels he might have been able to save Fuminori. Perhaps he is arrogant to think so, but if so, it is arrogance born of kindness. Koji passes through the living room and opens the sliding door that leads to the kitchen. When he enters, he finds that the most disturbing of the many stenches that may have been torturing him is at its strongest here. He's gonna find shit in the refrigerator. Blood. The room is redolent with the smell of countless layers of blood grown stale over time. He peers into the well-used sink. Around the rim, he sees faint brownish red blotches that water alone couldn't rinse off. Even more unmistakable are the stains on the dish rag. Such stains are proof that many dishes were washed here, over and over again, but what could the cloth have been used to wipe off to make it that color? Koji stares at the refrigerator next to the counter as though it were something unbelievably terrifying. He stands motionless until he's able to work up the courage to simply touch it. Don't want to do that. Then he stills himself, grabs the thick handle, and opens the door. First he'll check the freezer, then the refrigerator. Also, refrigerator is spelt weird. The large freezer is packed with frozen meat of varying shapes and sizes. As each piece is wrapped tightly in frosted over plastic, he can't tell what kind of meat it is. The meat in the refrigerator, however, has already been thawed for consumption. Yeah. For a while, he can only stare in disbelief at the 5 fingers beckoning to him from the back of the compartment. They are the long, slender fingers of a woman, their blush tinge giving them the appearance of waxworks. Koji is unable to remember what Umi's hands looked like, even though he kissed her fingers countless times. When he finished crying after his conversation with Fuminori, Koji promised himself that he wouldn't cry again. In fact, he doesn't. He regrets his decision, however. He indulged himself too early. He should have saved his soothing tears for this moment, for he is now absolutely certain that the world that he knew has vanished forever. Now at last his doubts about Fuminori have been utterly obliterated. Koji pulls Ogi's revolver out of his pocket and wraps his hands around its grip like he would a charm. Its definite presence, its promise of merciful absolute destruction, is the only thing keeping his sanity intact. He will surely use it to kill Seka Seka Fuminori. I like this new Frank Castle Koji. Not for revenge, not for justice, but to reassure himself that this world is indeed governed by his reason. For that purpose alone, he must eliminate the anomaly. He breathes deep, exhales, and then lifts his hands before his face and stares at his spread fingers. Alright. He's not shaking. He is prepared to face his new objective. Koji sticks the revolver back into his pocket and pulls out his cell phone. Fuminori is probably... If he ain't home, where the fuck is he? He's not looking for Ogi anymore. He gave up on that. Should Ryoko know about this? She should probably know in case something happens to me. The ringing of her cell phone interrupts Ryoko's labors. She sees the caller as Tono Koji. She unwittingly breathes a sigh of relief. This is Tanbo. What is it? I've searched Fuminori's house. Even over the phone, Ryoko can clearly hear the change in Koji's tone. His is to the dull, flat voice of someone who has all the energy beating out of him. Fuminori has murdered people. He's killed too many people to count. And he's eating them. Despite being an amateur, Koji has already come face to face with something particularly horrible. In consideration of the shock he must have received, Ryoko decides not to say anything. Omi and probably Tsukuba are already dead. Doctor, I was wrong. The fact that you're still alive to make this call means that you haven't made a fatal mistake yet, Ryoko says, praising Koji in her own way. Whether or not he is comforted is a different matter. Anyway, don't screw up this time. Do nothing until I return. What you're dealing with here isn't going to go down easily. With her understanding of Saya deepening by the hour, Ryoko is able to make the declaration with new confidence. Fuminori already knows that I'm alive. I didn't tell him who rescued me, but he's definitely on guard. I see. Koji's actions were rash, but there's no point in regretting them now. The more proactive approach would be to figure a way to use the pressure that Koji must have placed on Fuminori. Besides, the fact that Ryoko's involvement is still secret makes her a wild card. Depending on how she plays it, this advantage could be decisive. Kind of like Charlie Day in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Have you found anything, Doctor? Not enough yet, Ryoko answers, glancing sidelong at the loose-leaf pages still scattered across the table. Let's see. I'll wrap this up by the evening and return to Tokyo around midnight. You refrain from making any more trouble until then. Got it? Yes. The glazed over quality of Koji's voice is actually reassuring to Ryoko. She knows that he won't try to have everything his own way anymore. His is the voice of someone who has become a machine, able to do whatever it takes to accomplish a single goal. Koji's decided to eliminate Sakasaka Fuminori. In order to complete that objective, he's even willing to accept the help of Ryoko, whose principles hardly mesh with his. A praiseworthy change, indeed. After Ryoko hangs up, she gloomily counts the stacks of loose leaf that still need to be restored. There's no time left. She'll probably only be able to get the general picture. If she has to go into battle with only fragmentary knowledge, there's one thing she absolutely must decipher: Ugi's biological reports, which should contain information on the strengths and weaknesses of the organism called Saya. All she can do is pray for luck as she delves back into the mountains of paper. Driving was such a dangerous proposition for me that I hadn't gotten behind the wheel of a car since my accident last summer. I can't see the roads or the cars as cars after all. Until it became necessary this morning, I completely given up on the idea of driving on public roads. Now that I've had 3 months to get used to my condition, however, I can tell what the things I see are, such as with the cars and with which are pedestrians. What? Okay. Now that I've had 3 months to get used to my condition, however, I can tell what the things I see are, such as which are cars and which are pedestrians. Okay. Even though I can't see the red and green of the traffic lights, I can figure out what they mean, and I've learned how to tell when someone turn signals or brake lights are flashing. I still can't read the street lights, of course. Nevertheless, I managed to make it safely to our destination, with Saya and Yo in the back seat. After we decided to abandon our home, Saya was the one who came up with the idea for a new hideout. When she'd been living in Professor Ogi's house, she discovered the abandoned building on one of her late-night strolls. Oh yeah, I forgot they were finding a new place. Shit, maybe I should have called him instead. Oh well, too late for regrets. But it's not too late to get a sip of soda. In these hilly suburban residential areas that are still under development, it's not unusual to find thick, nearly untouched forest just off the beaten path. Saya's old playground is located in one such secluded area, unaffected by the flow of everyday life. It used to be a privately operated sanitarium hidden amongst the silent trees. After the owners went bankrupt, it remained unsold and was eventually forgotten. After I left Saya and Yo at the hideout, I returned to town to make some preparations. Now I'm finally back at our new refuge. I liked this rune for the moment I first laid eyes on it. Mountains of construction materials and other large trash littered the modest front yard, forming a serviceable barricade. This place looks even less likely to receive unwanted attention than our house. Since all humans appear as revolting monsters to me, places they've been tend to stink or seem covered in filthy slime. Empty ruins like these, utterly devoid of traces of human life, are the places I find the most restful. I'm back, I call out, letting them know that I'm not a stranger. I then go down into the basement where they're hiding. Oh, you're a cute little horrible monster, aren't you? Welcome back. Were you okay with the car?
スピードさえ出さなければどこを走っても大丈夫だよ。で、そっちは？
It was no problem at all. I figured out how to tell which roads are one way, as long as I keep my speed down. There's nothing to worry about. So how are things here?
一通り調べたけど、やっぱりあれからずっと人が来た様子はないみたい。ここは安全だよ。
I took a look around, as I thought, there's no sign that anyone's been here since the place is safe. Since then, this place is safe. Okay, stopping here for a moment. So, crazy badass doctor is going through finding out that Saya, or what the fuck ever Saya is, Koji, has lost all grip of reality, and he's going on a Punisher-like mission to get Fuminori and put him in the ground. This story is not going to end well for one or both of them.